We often carry heavy burdens, trying to control everything, from our work to every relationship in our lives. The more we cling, the more we try to control, the more restless and anxious we become, as if peace is always just out of reach. But what if we simply paused for a moment? Observe how everything in life moves on its own, without needing our constant interference or direction. A river does not try to flow. Trees do not try to grow. Everything unfolds naturally, just as it is. Even your breath comes and goes without effort, without you needing to hold on to it or control it. When you begin to let go of the weight of control, when you stop overthinking and overmanaging every outcome, a new space opens within you. It is a space of freedom where the mind is no longer bound by expectations or attachments. You start to accept things as they are, without judgment, without the need to change anything, simply allowing yourself to be. And when you stop resisting the flow of life, everything begins to feel lighter, more natural, and far less heavy than before. Let your mind rest. Trust the natural unfolding of life. Peace has been there all along, waiting for you. In life, we often try to hold on to too much, worrying deeply about everything. Yet that constant worrying rarely solves anything. It only traps the mind and exhausts us. We believe that if we just care more, control more, everything will fall into place. But in truth, that very attachment is the root of our suffering. Learning to let go does not mean becoming indifferent. It means accepting the natural flow of life. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means freeing yourself from clinging to outcomes. In that release, a vast inner space begins to open. The mind becomes lighter, freer, no longer weighed down by endless concerns. When we stop trying to control everything, life begins to move on its own, naturally and in harmony. Trust in the quiet intelligence of life, in the unseen order of the universe. Peace does not come from forcing everything to go your way. It comes from accepting things exactly as they are. Try, even for a moment, to loosen your grip on all your worries. You may discover that life becomes softer, gentler, and far more effortless. We often fear that if we let go, we will lose everything, but it is that very grasping that creates chains, binding us in anxiety and fatigue. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that happiness does not come from possession, but from freeing ourselves from attachment. When we stop clinging to outcomes, a new openness arises within the heart. Not apathy, but trust. Trust in the natural flow of life, like a leaf that does not resist the wind, but gently follows it, arriving exactly where it needs to be. And in that letting go, the mind becomes spacious, light, and unburdened, no longer confined by the weight of constant control. Life, in its own way, unfolds naturally, bringing to you what is needed at the right time and in the right place. This is not about giving up. It is an awakening to the truth of impermanence and the interconnected nature of all things. Try living with a spirit of letting go, and you will begin to see life flowing effortlessly, carrying a quiet sense of peace into each day. We often cling to what we want, to what we believe should belong to us. The fear of loss, the anxiety of not achieving enough, these become heavy burdens, chains we place upon ourselves. But when you pause, when you stop trying to control everything, a gentle sense of liberation begins to arise. Letting go is not indifference, it is the understanding that everything is inherently impermanent. When you stop forcing outcomes, life begins to move on its own, like a river finding its way to the ocean without strain. Trusting that flow brings a deep sense of peace. You begin to see that everything comes and goes naturally, without the need to hold on.
Observe your own mind. Notice the small attachments, the subtle clinging, and gently release them, allowing them to dissolve without resistance. In doing so, you will feel a vastness within, a sense of freedom. When the weight is gone, your spirit becomes light, open, and expansive.
Live in harmony with what arises, without anxiety or regret about the past. There is only this present moment, clear and unburdened when the mind is free from attachment. Let life guide you, rather than trying to force its direction. In that surrender, you will discover a deeper, quieter peace. Life no longer feels like a struggle, but like a gentle current carrying you forward. We often believe we must control everything, yet it is letting go that opens the door to true freedom. Letting go is not neglect. It is trusting in the natural intelligence of the universe, in the unfolding of life itself. Like clouds drifting across the sky, they do not cling, they simply pass and dissolve. When the mind no longer holds on to worry, no longer clings to the past or chases the future, a profound peace emerges. This peace does not mean the absence of storms. It is the ability to remain steady within them without being swept away. Life begins to flow naturally when we accept things as they are, without judgment or attachment. Everything arrives and departs like a guest. We are not the owners of anything, only the observers. Each breath in and out is a quiet act of letting go, a continuous renewal. When you release your grip, you will see life unfold in its own way, full of freedom and authentic beauty. We often hold on out of fear, yet it is that very grasping that exhausts us and clouds our vision. When we stop clinging to outcomes and personal desires, a new inner space opens. Not caring in this sense is not indifference. It is trust in the flow of life, in the law of impermanence at work. Everything arises through causes and conditions. Trying to control it all only creates unnecessary resistance and suffering. Let your mind be like the vast sky, allowing every cloud to come and go without holding on or pushing away. When you stop interfering and judging, life finds its own
way to express its inherent beauty. This kind of letting go is not abandoning responsibility. It is acting from a place of inner peace, free from attachment. Without the burden of excessive concern, your energy becomes lighter, freer, allowing you to fully live each moment. Trust in the wisdom of the universe, in the unseen order of life. Everything that unfolds has its place and its reason. When you stop trying to control everything, when you stop bracing and forcing your way through life, it begins to flow naturally, soft and effortless like your breath. The moment you release your grip, a new space opens within you. That is the truth. Letting go is not indifference. It is the wisdom to recognize what is not yours to hold and what was never yours to control. Like a river, life follows its own path without pushing or pulling. Control is an illusion. Life has its own current, and the only real choice we have is to move with it, not against it. As you let go of attachment and constant worry, a deep sense of lightness settles into your being, a quiet, unmistakable clarity. When the mind is no longer entangled, life begins to unfold on its own, and every moment feels like a gift of peace. There is no more struggle, no more forcing, just being fully present with each breath, each step along the way. From that stillness, a natural intelligence begins to arise, guiding you through every rise and fall. It is a guidance that comes from within. And in that act of release,
you discover a kind of peace that is not shaken by external conditions. Try letting go of what you no longer need to carry. Let your mind be free, and life will begin to move with a gentle ease. Have you noticed how exhausting it is to hold on to everything, to try to control every outcome? That constant tension often becomes the heaviest burden of all, keeping us from seeing the beauty of the present moment. Look closely. What is your mind clinging to? Are you holding on to things that were never meant to stay? Like water, when you try to contain it too tightly, it becomes stagnant and unclear. Only when you let it flow does it become clear again.
Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means trusting the natural movement of life, trusting that things are unfolding as they should. When you stop over-concern, a vast space opens within, allowing you to breathe and truly feel. Life does not require you to strain or struggle. It only asks that you be present, aware, and allow things to unfold. Wisdom lies in knowing when to act and when to be still, allowing everything to find its own way. You will begin to notice how much lighter everything feels, like a leaf drifting along a river, not forcing its destination. Try letting go of just one small thing today. Give your mind a moment of freedom and watch how life begins to move more naturally. Letting go is not apathy. It is the decision to stop holding on to what does not belong to you, to stop creating suffering for yourself. When you try to control everything, it is as if you are carrying a heavy stone, exhausting and joyless. The fear of letting go can feel like standing at the edge of a cliff, but that cliff is often nothing more than an illusion created by the mind. Look at the river. It never stops flowing, never tries to force its way. It simply moves as it is. Clouds drift across the sky. Flowers bloom and fade. Everything has its own cycle without needing your intervention or control. When you release control, you begin to see the natural harmony of all things, and you recognize that you are a part of that flow. Living in alignment with life is not passivity, it is wisdom, the ability to move with what already is. True peace arises when the mind no longer clings or resists. Let life guide you for once, and you may be surprised by how gentle and graceful it can be. When you stop worrying, life begins to move in quiet, unexpected ways, carrying you exactly where you need to go. We often carry the weight of endless concerns, trying to control everything as if life would fall apart without us. But the truth is, the tighter we hold on, the more confined and restricted life becomes. Just look at the river. It does not struggle to flow. It simply moves, finding its way around every obstacle, naturally and without effort. Letting go does not mean indifference. It means trusting in the natural unfolding of all things. When we stop trying to control everything, a quiet space of peace opens within the mind, a place where worry dimly fades and settles on its own. Life, like a gentle stream, will always find its way to the ocean if we simply stop trying to block its path. To trust that flow is to trust life itself, to trust in our own ability to adapt, to grow, and to move forward. When we release the burden of control, we begin to feel lighter, freer, like a bird soaring through an open sky. Try observing your mind the way you watch clouds drift by, without clinging, without pushing them away, simply noticing. And in that simple awareness, something shifts. When you stop holding on, life begins to open up on its own, flowing in the most natural and peaceful way. So often we carry heavy loads on our shoulders, endless concerns and constant mental noise. That over-concern is really attachment, the habit of holding on too tightly. But pause for a moment and notice how your mind reacts when you release expectations or stop trying to control outcomes.
Everything in life follows its own natural rhythm. It does not require us to interfere with every detail. We can trust in the quiet intelligence of the universe, in life's capacity to heal, adjust, and arrange itself.
Letting go is not about neglecting responsibility. It is about trusting the flow of life and the wisdom that guides it. When we stop overthinking and over-controlling, new energy is freed, allowing life to move with greater ease. Like clouds passing through the sky without holding on to anything, we too can live with lightness, unburdened, open, and free. And then life begins to flow naturally again, like a stream finding its way to the vast, boundless ocean. Give your mind a chance to rest. Release the worries that are no longer needed, and allow true peace to reveal itself in this very moment. When we try to control everything, life often feels tight and constrained. But happiness does not come from holding on. It comes from gently letting go. Relax your grip and allow things to unfold as they will. When your mind no longer clings, life finds its own rhythm. And in that rhythm, everything begins to feel just right.